Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be customizing and reviewing the declassy Weaponized Tampa in Grand Theft Auto Online. Now at the time of reviewing this thing, it is on sale for $951,000. That is with the trade price. Without the trade price, I believe it's going for like 1.4, I want to say. But you can find it on Warstock Cash and Carry, regardless of if it's on sale. If you just scroll a little bit further down here. The Weaponized Tampa, pretty interesting vehicle. We're going to talk about it. We're going to customize it today. We're taking it into the mobile operations center because that is where you're going to be able to do significantly more upgrades than you otherwise would be able to. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and just drive up here and go ahead and start modifying this thing. Now, of course, because we're in the MOC, unfortunately, we have this absolutely awful camera angle, but whatever. We're going to make do. Let's go ahead and start off with the armor upgrade. We're going to go ahead and do brakes. We're going to go and do the engine all the way up as well. Let's go and put the transmission on this thing as well and the turbo. And then now we're going to get into the actual customization options as well as the special things that you can do with the declassy Weaponized Tampa. Now to start off with, when you first buy the car, you will have no armor plating on it. However, you can upgrade this to light armor, medium armor, or heavy armor. Now I do believe that regardless of the heavy armor pieces being here, I don't actually think they are bullet resistant or bulletproof. We will be testing this today when we get outside after we've customized this thing, but I think that the only option that does any sort of protection is the heavy chassis armor. So I guess we'll go with that. You can notice a little bit of a weight difference between the different armors. Like, for example, having no armor on this thing versus heavy armor, you will notice a little bit of a difference in the handling and everything like that. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later though. For the hood, we have the light armored hood. We also have the medium or the heavy armored hood. I guess since we went with heavy armor, we'll go for the heavy armored hood as well. We might as well do that, I suppose. For the lights, we're going to go xenon, and then we're also going to put a neon kit on this thing, not because I like how it looks, but because it lowers the center of gravity, meaning that this thing should handle just a little bit better. And I'm also going to go for this in actually a red. Again, not because I like how it looks, but I think it'll look okay once we're done. So anyways, next up we got the liveries. Now unfortunately the liveries kind of go underneath all this armor, which I guess kind of makes sense. It's kind of hard to put them over top of the armor. So I guess it makes sense in all honesty. I think for the color of this thing though today, and for the livery, I wouldn't mind going Urban Warrior. At the same time, I don't mind going like Nature Reserve either. I think that's what I did the last time I customized it though, so I'm kind of feeling inclined to change it up a little bit. Let's go with the Urban Warrior camo on this thing. For the plate, we're going to go yellow on black today. For the proximity mine dropper, we are going to equip this on the vehicle. Now, I used to think that this was bunker research reliant, but I don't think it is. I think you can actually put the proximity mine dropper on anything that is customizable in the MOC. It seems like you can do it on the Insurgent Pickup Custom, you can do it on the APC, you can do it on this vehicle as well. So I don't think it's actually really necessary to have bunker research for that. However, there are going to be some options that we will need bunker research for on this vehicle. So we're going to talk about those in a few minutes here, but we're going to go matte black for the color, and for the secondary color, I think I'm going to go for a light gray because it does the minigun on this thing, and I want to make sure that the minigun is visible for sure. And if we do it in matte black, it's really dark, so we could do gray or light gray. I think I'm going to go gray though. I think that looks kind of better almost, so we'll do that. I'm also going to go ahead and change the neon kit color because I was planning on doing something different, but I've changed my mind. So next up for the suspension, we are going to lower this thing down because you will find with this car there is quite a bit of body roll, so the suspension will help to kind of counteract that. Now for weapons, under the weapons tab, we have several different things. So we got the missile launcher, the mortar, and the minigun. Now these are all unlocked through bunker research. So if you're planning on buying a Weaponized Tampa, make sure that you have a significant amount of bunker research done. Specifically, you're going to want it for the minigun because that is by far the best upgrade for this vehicle. But we're going to go ahead and start with the missile launcher. Now the missile launcher will replace these two headlights with missiles on the front of the vehicle. These can be launched And as you can see, they do have a reduced ammo capacity, so there is actually a limit to how many missiles you can fire with this vehicle with the front missile launchers on it. These are not, I do not believe these are homing missiles. We will try our best to test that, but I do not believe they are homing, so do keep that in mind. Now on the rear of the car, you can do the rear firing mortar. The mortar also has a reduced ammo capacity, otherwise known as a limited ammo capacity. So it can only shoot maybe like 10 times, something like that. It's really not very much. We will go ahead and put it on the car though, just so we have the full effect of this vehicle. And then of course, we have the dual remote minigun. Now this minigun is the one that you can turn as you're driving. The stock minigun is pointed straight, and that is all it does. It does not turn, you cannot aim it, it really actually sucks. So you really want to get the dual remote minigun, and that is unlocked through bunker research. That is pretty much essential to making this car worth owning, in my opinion. Like, I like this thing, but it really becomes a lot more worth it to own if you have the dual minigun that is aimable. So keep that in mind. For the wheels, I'm going to go for some off-road wheels, and I think I'm going to go for my favorites, which are, of course, the Concave Rally Master. Let's go ahead and put those on. We're going to do them in a black. We're going to go ahead and put bulletproof tires on. For some reason, this thing doesn't come with them by default, which I think is kind of shocking, but anyways, whatever. And we're going to do some limo tint on this vehicle as well. Now, let's take it outside, and we are going to talk about a bunch of different things to do with the Weaponized Tampa. All right, so here we are outside. We're in the Weaponized Tampa. As you can see, it does look pretty cool, I must say. Now, to get started, an upgrade over the regular Tampa is that this thing actually has all-wheel drive. So it launches a lot better than the regular Tampa does, and you generally have a lot more control with it over the regular Declasse Tampa, which honestly is kind of a bad vehicle, I'm not gonna lie. But being that this thing's all-wheel drive, you definitely have a lot more control, you definitely have a lot more power, it seems like. Overall, the vehicle is just far superior, that is for sure. Now, before we get into anything else, I'm quickly going to go ahead and test the armor plating on this thing and see if it actually does anything to help the vehicle withstand any more, damage or anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the Assault Rifle Mark II here. And as you can see, I shoot right through this and it breaks the glass instantly. There's not a question about it. This does absolutely nothing as far as protecting the occupants inside with this part right here. Now, as far as this one right here goes, it doesn't do anything either. So that's great to know. So the heavy armor really does not matter. Honestly, there's probably not much point in going for it. And I actually think that with the heavy armor, it also restricts you to only using the other weapon systems that this vehicle has. I think if we didn't have armor on it though, you could potentially aim just a regular weapon out of it. So okay, so here we are. I've taken the heavy armor off of the vehicle. I've also removed the hood because it kind of matched up with that other stuff. And unfortunately, even with the armor removed, you can only just use the weapons that the vehicle has. But it's not really the end of the world. When you have the dual minigun, it's pretty okay to just have that. Now let's go ahead and get started with the review of this thing. Of course, we're going to test the missiles, so I'm going to go ahead and just start shooting these. That's 2 so far, that's 3, that is 4, and that is 5. Now, like I said, I do not believe that these are lock-on missiles. I think it actually would have said something if they were, so do keep that in mind. I don't think that these missiles are lock-on, and as a result, you're not going to be able to really defend yourself from like Oppressor Mark IIs, things like that, so do keep that in mind. But so far we've shot, a pretty decent amount of missiles, I would say. And that just demonstrated one of the glaring issues with the Declasse Weaponized Tampa. It can't take any explosive damage, which really sucks. That is the biggest flaw with this vehicle. And having the missiles mounted on the front of it, they generally tend to aim a little bit too low for what you will want most of the time, like that, for example. They shoot just a little too low, and they will tend to get you blown up by your own hand a lot. So I would generally recommend against using the missiles, and honestly, you could avoid putting them on your car and save yourself like 85 grand as well. That is another option with that as well, so do keep that in mind. Now the rear mortar, a lot more useful in my opinion. At least it's shooting behind you, so you can't really get yourself into too much trouble, but as you can see, you can shoot behind you here. I believe it's limited to either 10 or no, it's limited to 8 shots, 8 mortars, so not very much. So that is where the dual minigun comes in, and this is really going to be the best thing about this vehicle. It has extremely long range, a very good fire rate, and I play on PC, so I can really quickly like snap to people and just destroy them. Like it's really not even fair, to be honest. Like even in online, this thing is actually really insane, just because if you're a good aimer, like you're gonna do so well with this thing. And of course that is on PC, but if you're good on console at aiming, you know, you're gonna do all right as well. But the dual minigun also outputs a huge amount of damage, so you can destroy vehicles in, you know, 3 seconds with direct fire with the miniguns on this thing, which is pretty insane. So that is really, really good. I think that the Tampa on sale is a lot more worth picking up than it is off sale, and I think that it's only worth picking up ever if you already have your bunker research done, or if you intend to do your bunker research. Now the problem with bunker research though is, of course, nobody knows what you're gonna get through bunker research. Like you could get absolutely terrible stuff, like just camos and liveries and stuff, you know, for the first, like, you know, 60 items. I think there's a total of 66 items or 54 items. It's one or the other. It's something in that neighborhood. But you know, for those items, like you might get all the trash ones first and get literally the 3 weaponized Tampa upgrades very last. So that's why I kind of say I think that you should probably have it first before you even get into, you know, thinking about purchasing the weaponized Tampa, just because, you know, if you buy the weaponized Tampa and then you go to, you know, do the bunker research, you're probably going to get bored before your bunker research is actually done, and before you can even upgrade your weaponized Tampa. So do keep that in mind for sure. I think that that is the one tip that I really would advise you to sort of take on the weaponized Tampa, is just make sure bunker research is done. And of course the second tip is don't upgrade the missiles on this thing. I don't really think it's worth it. Like you're gonna blow yourself up more than you're probably gonna blow up other people. And the other thing is too, like if you hit a car and then you're driving towards it, the secondary explosion, it could very well take you out. Like it's definitely a bit of a shame, really, like that you just kind of can't really use those missiles on the front of this thing. They just don't work well enough to kind of warrant having them. So in my opinion, I would avoid the missiles. So really what you're going to want is the dual mounted top minigun. Like that is really the one thing about the weaponized Tampa that you are going to want. Beyond that, I mean, if you can just get a weaponized Tampa with the proximity mine dropper and the, you know, top mounted dual minigun that is controllable, I think you're going to be fine. I think this is going to be a good vehicle for you. It's definitely very good in missions and against NPCs and stuff like that. So, you know, for that type of thing, it's very, very good. This is generally a very good vehicle against NPCs. Against players, not a whole lot because of that lack of armor. You can still, you know, take out players with it. I've taken out a lot of players with my weaponized Tampa, but it really depends who you're fighting against. If there's somebody who's like really good at the game, they're, you know, you might get 1, maybe 2 in on them, but other than that, they're probably going to blow this thing up, and then you're going to be on foot with them. So you do just have to keep these things in mind for sure with the weaponized Tampa. But overall, I do think it is a good vehicle. I do think it is worth picking up while it's on sale, if you guys are watching this when it's on sale. However, if it's not on sale when you're watching this, it's still worth picking up, but do keep in mind that bunker research for sure. Anyway guys, that's pretty much all I have to say about the classy weaponized Tampa in Grand Theft Auto Online. Generally, very good vehicle in my opinion. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, a like is of course appreciated. If not, dislike. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.